All right, man, peace. So, NBA great and future Hall of Famer Kevin Durant was recently recognized in GQ magazine for his accomplishment in winning the 2017 NBA Finals MVP as well as his first championship. He made a few statements in the interview which could be construed or misconstrued as him stating that he feels as if he is now the best player in the NBA. They're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
All right, sticking with KD for a second and the Warriors. Who could forget about this shot that he hit over LeBron in Game 3 of the NBA Finals last season? Now, in an interview with GQ, KD says, and this is very interesting, that was the best moment I ever had. I made the game-winning shot in the finals against my idol. Had something before the idol. Somebody that I really followed since I was a ninth grade high schooler. I felt like he was passing the torch to me.
LeBron?
Yeah.
Passing the torch, huh?
LeBron.
All right.
Okay.
I think he was putting it politely. That's my takeaway from it. I think he really was saying I was taking the torch.
Yeah.
He was just out of respect saying LeBron is passing. I don't think LeBron was like, hey, dog, you got it from here on out. No.
Well, yeah, I agree with Michael Smith in that sentiment. I believe that was KD's way of basically saying that, it's my league now. I mean, really, if we really want to be honest with it and keep it 100% funky, he really getting at LeBron James and Steph Curry. Because really what KD's saying is not only have I taken the torch from LeBron, but I'm the number one player on this team. And, to me, sometimes KD, he makes statements without thinking. He conducts himself like a very immature person. He does not conduct himself in a shrewd manner. He does not really understand team decorum or utilize prudence with a lot of his statements. You can tell that, he's one of those guys who seems to mistake keeping it real for sometimes just talking too damn much. Sometimes you can speak a little bit too much, and you can put forth sentiments that you really don't mean to put forth per se. Certain things don't need to be said. And making a statement like that, stating that LeBron was passing the torch to him, number one, LeBron is still the best player in the NBA. I'm sure that certain people will disagree with that, but he is still the best player in the NBA and the most impactful player in the NBA. But beyond that, KD still has to recognize that Golden State is still Steph Curry's team. KD might be an overall more dynamic and impactful player on a league-wide perspective than Steph Curry. But Steph Curry was the champion before you got there. He was the commander of a 73-win team that really should have won 2 straight championships. So, I think a lot of times it's very easy for people to poo-poo Steph Curry and his accomplishments. The things that Steph Curry accomplished in those 2 years, you can go through the annals of the NBA history, and you can't come up with too many guys who've done what he's done over the stretch of those 2 years. So, yes, I do believe that there's a certain amount of deference that KD should place towards Steph Curry.
No, I don't think so. But if you're Kevin Durant, you don't take a backseat to LeBron James. Why would you? So it doesn't matter whether we still consider LeBron James the best player in the world. Kevin Durant doesn't see himself in any way as inferior, and he's got an argument. I mean, the difference is not that great in terms of skill set and versatility.
No, the difference is not that great, but at the end of the day, LeBron James has been able to take his success to various teams where he's been the clear X factor. Kevin Durant has not been able to do that. As has already been stated, he did go to a team that was already successful without him. LeBron James did go to a team, even though they built a super team and they architectured and structured a super team by him and Chris Bosh going down to Miami. That team was not already made. That team was built. I mean, of course, the speculation would be that they would become a championship team due to their talent, but they still had to go down there and make it happen. KD went to a team that was already, built, already made, and was already championship caliber. Now, what he did was make them overwhelmingly dominant because he is one of the top 2 to 3 players in the NBA. There's no doubt about that. On anybody's list, Kevin Durant no lower than 3. But should KD look at LeBron and say, "Oh well, he's certainly better than me"? Of course not. When you're talking about the top 5 to 6 guys in the league, whether it's Steph Curry, KD, Kawhi, Russell Westbrook, everybody coming after LeBron, James Harden, those type of guys, there's no way that they're saying that LeBron is better than them, nor should they be saying that.
to where it's like not even a conversation. Most consider to be 1A, 1B.
There is a difference, though, and look, I don't want to, because when you get to these player-to-player arguments, you wind up just in an unintended way diminishing one
Sure.
to highlight the other. I think the way that LeBron has done it is unlike anything we've seen in history. Add him to any team, you're in the finals, and the number of finals that he's been to in a row, I think that obviously proves the point.
Well, I would agree with that, but that's also based on the time period that LeBron is playing in due to player movement. As I've already stated, yes, without a doubt, LeBron James' impact in this era of the NBA, he's clearly the best player in this era. But to say in NBA history, we don't know that. Because Bill Russell didn't have a chance to go from the Celtics to the St. Louis Hawks to the Cincinnati Royals and bring his impact to those teams for us to say, well, wherever Bill Russell goes, they win. Now, Wilt Chamberlain was able to go to various teams and take those teams to finals. That's why I call LeBron James the Wilt Chamberlain. He's the modern-day Wilt Chamberlain. I don't really compare him to Michael Jordan. As I've stated numerous times, to me, LeBron James is more like a combination of Scottie Pippen and Karl Malone. And in his player type, his player type to me is more of the Wilt Chamberlain, Shaquille O'Neal type, the overly dominant physical force of his era. But it's difficult to say that LeBron James is doing something that no other player would be capable of doing in history, because you really have to judge the time period and the era that he played in. If Larry Bird or Magic Johnson had the player movement that LeBron James has today, and they wanted to move to 3-4 different teams, I believe they could have led 3-4 different teams to the finals as well. But LeBron James is definitely the best player in the NBA today.
Body of work is.
I mean, KD has certainly been saddled with some of those responsibilities earlier in his career, but they're different. And so, look, I appreciated the fact that KD thinks enough of himself, as he should, to consider himself on LeBron's level. But I don't see, look, we watch LeBron night in and night out. He doesn't look like somebody who is losing steam. He doesn't.
No. LeBron is not the athlete that he was 5 or 6 years ago, but his mental approach to the game is at a much higher level. He's diversified his game now. He's a much better jump shooter. But no, he's not the athlete that he was. But right now he's in the time period of his career where the game is moving extremely slow for him mentally. So he's able to make up for the step that he may have lost because his brain now is a step faster. But I do believe that if you were to ask LeBron, if in his honest moments, if he was to ask if there was a player that he would say is on his level in the league, or if he had anybody who could even approximate being a peer, he would say Durant. Even though he doesn't believe that Durant is on his level, the only guy that LeBron believed was on his level, the only two guys that he believed were on his level were Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant, in regards to the guys that he played with during his time period. He wouldn't put KD there because he considers KD to be like a little brother. He would never give KD that type of respect. And he shouldn't, because that will carry over onto the court. When LeBron is ready to give KD that type of respect, I believe that LeBron knows that it will be time for him to retire.
He doesn't look like somebody who, is on his way to the back nine of his career.
No, but it's
so to pass the torch, it's just like
Well, I disagree with that. I believe that LeBron is on the back nine. He's just early on the back nine. He's like on hole 11 right now. He's not on hole 17, but he is on hole 11. When you get to 33, you're not in your athletic prime. You may be in your mental prime. You might be in your prime as an overall player because of the combination of mental and physical together. But LeBron got about 2 or 3 years left before we start to see a stark drop off. And I'll say like this, and I don't wish this on the brother, but a lot of times people say, well, this guy looks like he can play forever, and then a really bad injury comes, whether it be an Achilles pop or there's a reason why a lot of great players, Isaiah Thomas, Dominique Wilkins, Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, what took them out? That Achilles. All right. LeBron carries a lot of weight on his body, and he moves with an extreme amount of acceleration. So if there were to be a devastating injury to hit LeBron, it would be the Achilles, in my view. I don't see him getting any type of knee injury or anything like that because his legs are so well developed. But the Achilles, that would not shock me if that occurred.
I understand that you're winning in that moment over a great player. I get it. But LeBron is not conceding anything.
But that wasn't the point. That's what I'm saying. It was a phrasing. He's saying, like, look, now I'm on that level. I didn't have a championship. People can hold that against me. Even though people still hold it against me how I got to this point, I got the championship and I hit the biggest shot, the biggest three in game 3 to put us up 3-0 over my idol. So now I got a seat at the table. So maybe not passing the torch, but lighting a torch as they both continue to carry the.
Right. I will put it like this. KD is to LeBron what LeBron is to Michael Jordan. KD is not on LeBron's level, but he can sit at the table. LeBron is not on Michael Jordan's level, but he can sit at Michael's table. Okay? That's how I would put that paradigm.
The NBA as the consensus top 2 players. The most interesting stuff, and he had a lot to say about OKC and how he harbors no bitterness. He really seems to finally truly be at peace. He talked about being vulnerable, but the key to being vulnerable is not being sensitive. And he said, hey.
Well, then he wouldn't know because he's sensitive as hell. And I do not believe that he's over the OKC thing. I think that he's just saying that. He's not going to engage in any type of interview after winning a championship and state, well, I still haven't gotten over the OKC thing. Of course he's going to say he's over it, but he's not. KD will never be over that because that's just not in his personality type. He's extremely emotional and sensitive.
Hey, Michael Jordan never went through anything like this. Well, again, Michael Jordan didn't go about it like this to get his championship, but he's right. Kevin Durant has dealt with an awful lot of backlash, but he finally, in reading GQ and Bleacher Report, finally seems to be okay with it all.
No, I don't believe he's okay with it.
I think. That's most important. Reading GQ and Bleacher Report, finally seems to be okay with it all. I think. That's most important.
All right.
Yeah, I think that they both recognize that Kevin Durant's full of shit. That's why Michael Smith even said, I think, and Jamel Hill said, we'll see. Because they both know Kevin Durant's not over that OKC thing. It's like these people who have this tumultuous relationship and then they see their ex at the mall or something like that and then they have some type of breakdown. That's Kevin Durant. Every time he goes into OKC, he's going to have some type of mental lapse. And it's going to express itself in some type of way. Either he'll get caught up in some form of emotional interaction with Westbrook or with the opposing team's coach or with the fans, something of that nature. There's never going to be a game where he goes in there and he's just chilling. But anyway, it was just interesting to see Durant say what he stated about LeBron. I believe that he believes it, and I believe that he should believe it. He should believe that he's on LeBron's level. He finally had the horses to go against LeBron. I'm sure in his mind, KD looks back at the 2012 finals and he says, the only reason why LeBron beat me was because I was a young pup and I didn't have the horses that he had. He had a Dwayne Wade who, though Dwayne I wouldn't say was in his prime, he was right on. Dwayne was in 2012 where LeBron is now physically, where he was at the start of the back nine. Like right now, Dwayne is on hole 17. He's about to get ready to head to hole 18. But back in 2012, he was on hole 11, hole 10. And Durant knows that, with that nut job Westbrook and with that choke artist in the big games, James Hardhead, he couldn't have beat LeBron even if he wanted to. And they still were able to win a game and should have won game 2. But I believe now that Durant believes that they were even Steven going into last year's finals and he beat LeBron straight up. So that's the justification that I believe Kevin Durant uses to tell himself that he's on LeBron's level. And once again, he has every right to believe that. But anyway, peace.